Did you know that Apple, the tech giant, was on the verge of bankruptcy until it was saved by one of its biggest rivals? During the 1990s, as a result of many factors like its core founders leaving the company, the brand losing its focus, and the increased competition in the tech space, Apple saw a huge decline in its revenue, almost to the extent of bankruptcy. Upon Steve Jobs' return to the company in 1997, he made a lot of extreme changes in order to rebuild the brand, one of them being calling up Bill Gates, his biggest rival at the time. In a surprising move, Apple's corporate frenemy, Microsoft, invested about $150 million just after the call, and this immediately brought back Apple to life. Hello brand lovers, my name is Ketan and welcome to a new video on Brandzpree. Apple Inc. is a multinational technology company headquartered in the United States. Apple is primarily a consumer electronics brand and is considered to be one of the big 5 global tech giants alongside Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft. In this video, we'll dive deep into how Apple employed interesting business strategies, inspiring brand identity, immense focus on design, and extremely creative marketing strategies to grow from its humble beginnings in a garage to becoming the world's largest brand in terms of market value and revenue. Let's dive straight away into Apple's branding case study and try to answer the question, what makes Apple a global design legend? Before we move into the insanely insightful technicalities of Apple's branding, let's just quickly go through some of the key moments in the history of Apple. In 1976, Apple was founded by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne in Cupertino, California. In the same year, the company launched Apple I, the company's first ever personal computer. Fun fact, Steve Wozniak ended up setting the price of Apple I at $666.66 because apparently he liked repeating digits. In 1977, Apple Computer Inc. was incorporated, but without Ron Wayne, who had actually left and sold his share of the company back to Jobs and Wozniak. In the same year, Apple launched Apple II, one of the first computers to have color graphics. It was a significant success and played a huge role in popularizing personal computers. In 1984, Apple launched the very famous Macintosh, which set a new standard for personal computing by featuring a revolutionary graphical user interface, or popularly known as GUI. This was introduced with a legendary 1984 Super Bowl ad. We'll talk more about this in detail in the marketing chapter of this video. In 1985, Steve Jobs and his power struggle with the then CEO John Sculley led to Jobs getting fired from his own company, and in the same year he founded Next Computer Inc. along with the other ex-Apple employees who admired his vision. During the 1990s, Apple saw a huge decline in its revenue. It also seemed to lose its focus as the company was experimenting with other products like digital cameras and video game consoles. In 1997, Jobs returned to Apple with the acquisition of his Next computer company. This was a huge turning point for the Apple company as he made changes to bring Apple back to its core offerings. In 1998, Apple introduced the iMac, which was a colorful and user-friendly desktop computer that was designed by a very talented industrial designer called Jonathan Ive. This marked Apple's return to profitability and success. In the following years, Apple went on to introduce many revolutionary products to the world like the iPod, iPhone, iPad, and many other iconic products that the brand is known for. Let's begin this section with a quick overview of Apple's business strategies and revenue model before getting deep into the branding specifics. Here are 3 interesting business strategies that have made Apple what it is today. Number 1. Focus on innovation. Apple justifies its premium pricing and its immense popularity by constantly innovating and consistently delivering high-quality products with sleek and elegant designs. Number 2. Vertical integration. Apple controls all aspects of its product development, from design to manufacturing to software development, and most of the time the marketing too. This gives the brand great control over the quality of its products and allows it to bring them to market as quickly as possible. Number 3. Ecosystem lock-in. Apple has developed this interesting and seamless integration of its products with other Apple products and services. This digital ecosystem is so user-friendly and addictive that if you buy one Apple product, you're most likely to buy more from Apple and stay an Apple fan for a very long time. While the brand earns a majority of its revenue from its product lineup of iPads, iPhones, and Mac products, a small chunk of revenue also comes from its services like Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, and iCloud, along with an even smaller chunk generated from the sales of its wearables, home, and accessories category. Now, let's get into Apple's brand strategy and analyze how strong the company's foundation is. In the company's own words, Apple's mission is to bring the best personal computing experience to students, educators, creative professionals, and consumers around the world through its innovative hardware, software, and internet offerings. To ensure this, Apple abides by a set of brand values that have significantly contributed to its overall perception. These values are accessibility, education, environment, inclusion and diversity, privacy, racial equality and justice, and supplier responsibility. When it comes to the brand hierarchy, Apple Inc. primarily follows a hybrid brand architecture, which is a mix of the following 3 types of brand architecture. Number 1, the monolithic architecture, where most of Apple's services and non-core products carry its brand name at all times, like Apple Music and Apple AirPods. Number 2, the endorsed architecture, where most of its core products might not necessarily carry the brand name but have their own unique identity in sync with the overall brand, like the iPhone and the iPad. Number 3, the pluralistic architecture, where most of Apple's acquired brands have their own unique identity completely independent of the parent brand, like Beats Electronics and Shazam, for example. Taking a closer look at the same, the Apple family of products, brands, and services could be divided into the following 5 main categories. Number 1, core products. The core Apple products, which are probably the most valuable part of the brand, consist of various product lineups like the iPhone range of smartphones, the iPad range of tablet computers, the Mac lineup of personal computers and laptops, along with its wireless rechargeable accessories like Magic Mouse, Magic Trackpad, and Magic Keyboard. Number 2, other products. There are other popular products that the brand categorizes as wearables, home, and accessories, which include the AirPods line of wireless headphones, Apple TV digital media players, Apple Watch smartwatches, and the HomePod smart speakers. Number 3, services. The brand also has a range of services dedicated solely to Apple users like the Apple App Store, iCloud, and Apple Care Plus. In addition to these, Apple offers digital content services like Apple Music, Apple Books, and Apple TV Plus. The brand also offers payment services through the Apple Card credit card, Apple Cash digital money, and the Apple Pay processing platform. Number 4. Software. Apple has a self-developed range of operating systems dedicated to its devices like macOS, iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, etc. Number 5. Sub-brands. In addition to all the Apple products and services, the brand has many subsidiary brands that it has either started as an independent entity or has acquired over time. Such sub-brands include Beats Electronics, which is a consumer audio products brand, Shazam, a music identification app, Apple Studios, a film and TV production company, Braeburn Capital, an asset management company, and Drive.ai, which is an artificial intelligence-based transportation tech company. In terms of competition, Apple faces a lot of rivalry from many popular brands, especially in the smartphone segment. But Samsung stands as a strong competitor as it competes with Apple in almost all of its consumer electronics market. Apple faces competition with every major tech brand in various market segments that it operates in. While Google competes with the brand primarily in the mobile operating systems market through Android, Microsoft competes with Apple's personal computer portfolio through Windows OS and the Surface lineup. Similarly, Apple competes with Amazon's Prime Video and Echo smart speakers. As a matter of fact, with the launch of the Apple Vision Pro VR headset, the brand is now in competition with Meta and its VR division called Oculus. While the brand appeals to a broad range of target audience demographics, these specifically include young adults and adults who love consuming digital content on Apple devices, professionals and students who love the productivity offered by Apple's products and services, and designers and digital artists who love the creative and powerful tools that the brand offers. This brand is a perfect example of a brand personality transformation over the years. Apple started with a rebellious personality or an outlaw archetype, as its focus was on beating the then tech giants like IBM. Then it eventually shifted to a visionary personality or a creator archetype with character traits of originality, creation, and self-expression. We'll look into the exact advertisements that clearly depicted this change later in the video. On a side note, if you're finding this video interesting and insightful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share this video with your friends. It would really help me out. The classy and powerful brand identity of Apple that we see today is the result of a combination of several visual decisions and well thought out design practices implemented over time. The brand name Apple was inspired by Steve Jobs' visit to an apple farm. He decided on the name as he found it fun, spirited, and not intimidating. It's so cool to see such a simple metaphorical brand name has proven to be a perfect representation of the company's focus on creativity and innovation. Interestingly, Apple follows a naming convention wherein all the products and services offered by Apple either have the letter I in their names, like iPhone and iMac, or the word Apple in their names, like Apple Music and Apple Watch. Speaking of Apple Watch, did you know that this smartwatch by Apple was actually intended to be called the iWatch? During the time when Apple was planning to launch a new product, following the iPhone and iPad naming convention, iWatch was the obvious name for Apple's first ever smartwatch. But there was a problem. The Apple Watch's initial name iWatch had encountered trademark clashes with a lesser-known Swiss watchmaker called Swatch. This led to the company shifting the name to Apple Watch. Nevertheless, this name still maintains the familiar I branding in all our minds while successfully avoiding any legal complications. Apple's logo, also known as the bitten apple logo, is one of the most recognizable symbols in the world. Initially, Ronald Wayne, one of the three founders, designed a heavily illustrated logo for the company which depicted Sir Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. Rob Janoff almost immediately redesigned this to have a rainbow-colored version of the now famous minimalistic logo. And later in the year 1998, the rainbow logo was finally replaced with the black-colored logo that we see today. Apart from the brand logo, it would be very interesting to look at the evolution of Apple's iconography as well. The earlier versions of Apple devices used to have icons that were designed with a style known as skeuomorphism, which is essentially a design style that uses realistic textures and look. Over time, the icons have evolved to have a much more flat and minimalistic look. The brand colors of Apple primarily follow a monochromatic palette consisting of blacks, greys, and whites, which gives the brand a classy, premium, and sophisticated look. Apple ensures the same high-end feel with its product design as well, by incorporating materials like aluminum and glass in its products. Apple's typography primarily features an Apple-designed sans serif typeface called San Francisco across all its products and software. According to the brand, this typeface provides a consistent, legible, and friendly typographic voice. The brand imagery or the photography style of Apple, which can be seen in its website UI and marketing communications, often features a particular product as the central focus, typically set against a clean background, which helps create a crisp image with an emphasis on the product's elegant design. When it comes to brand identity, there are many things that one can learn from just observing the brand closely. Even the Apple product packaging design is known for its elegance. While the exterior of the box features a straight-on shot of the product, a clean monochromatic background, and very minimal text, the interiors have a super clean white or black backdrop encasing and highlighting the product itself. Taking it a step further, did you know that Apple Store is actually designed to be a multi-sensory experience rather than just a retail outlet? The Apple stores, having minimalistic interiors with museum-like open spaces and product displays, are perfect examples of concepts like retail branding and sensory marketing. One interesting instance that backs these claims is the way that the Apple Store employees are asked to deliberately tilt the computer screens of their MacBook laptops at the exact specific angles before opening the store. This is intended to encourage customers to adjust the screen to their ideal viewing angle, thereby touching and experiencing the extremely well-designed product. Moreover, unlike the typical electronic stores, all the devices in the Apple stores are always on with a vibrant display, fully loaded with apps, and always connected to the internet to ensure that the customers spend as long as they want exploring all the different features and aspects of the device, ultimately creating a sense of ownership for the customer even before purchasing the product. Owing to the great retail design of Apple stores, the brand has also received architectural awards and has even been able to secure patents for its unique glass staircases. Apple's marketing has always been out of the box. The company has been a pioneer in terms of both the clarity and the creativity with which it communicates its products as well as its ideologies. Apple's advertising campaigns usually feature emotionally appealing visuals and strong storytelling in depicting how their products can enhance a person's life. In my opinion, there are three particular ad campaigns that have had a great impact on shaping the company's brand image. Number 1. The 1984 Super Bowl commercial. This iconic and historical ad depicted the rebellious personality of Apple and generated immense buzz in the advertising industry. It featured a dystopian vision and a promise to revolutionize the tech industry with the launch of its Macintosh computer. Number 2. The Think Different campaign. This popular 1997 campaign reflected the creative spirit of Apple and Steve Jobs' return to the company. It featured celebrated visionaries and innovators from various fields like Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King, and John Lennon, accompanied by the tagline, "Think Different." Fun fact, this campaign actually introduced the world to the concept of nouning. As per the English grammar, the slogan should have been "Think Differently." But Steve Jobs felt that "think differently" wouldn't be comparatively as colloquial and powerful as the phrase "think big." Number 3. The iPod Silhouette campaign. This visually interesting campaign accompanied the launch of the Apple iPod in 2001. This series of ads featured silhouetted figures dancing to the music that was being played on the iPods. Apple has built a few brand community ventures and activities to ensure that the love for the brand stays strong. One such example is the Apple Support Community, which is an official forum where Apple customers help each other with their products. The company also has an initiative called Today at Apple, wherein people can gather periodically at their nearest Apple stores to meet fellow creatives, share new experiences, and learn new skills. The company has the world's largest headquarters in California called Apple Park. This 175-acre campus was conceived by Steve Jobs and Apple's then chief designer Jonathan Ive as an enormous office space that looks less like a business park and more like a nature park. Sir Norman Foster, a renowned British architect, along with his firm Foster & Partners, worked closely with Steve Jobs on the extremely innovative design of the main building of Apple Park, which was nicknamed the Spaceship. This building, equipped with many interesting sustainable features, is completely dedicated to Apple's employees. Apple Park is powered by 100% renewable energy and has a dedicated public space called the Apple Park Visitor Center for visitors to experience the history of the brand as well as the guided tours of the campus. In honor of the company's founder, Apple Park also features an underground auditorium called the Steve Jobs Theater, which is used to host product launches and special events. I strongly believe that the immense passion for design and innovation, along with the inspirational branding and marketing decisions taken at the right times, have led to Apple becoming such a huge success, both in terms of revenue as well as popularity. By the way, did you know that Ronald Wayne, the third founder of Apple, left the company with practically nothing? Back in 1976, Ron Wayne left Apple just a few weeks after he co-founded it, as he felt that his risk-averse mindset couldn't really keep up with the passion of the two other visionary leaders. He left the company by selling his 10% share of the company back to Jobs and Wozniak for just $800, which was a very significant amount at the time. But over the years, Apple grew to become the world's largest brand with $1 trillion valuation. This implies that had he held on to his share of the company till this day, it would have been worth multiple billions with a B. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to Brandzpree for more insightful videos on branding and related topics.